Split-ticket voters, those are people who vote for candidates from different parties, are increasingly rare in modern American politics. But as Lisa Desjardins explains, those that cross the aisle on their ballots this November may decide which party controls the U.S. Senate next year.
We can't work all the time. We have to do something to take our mind off things.
In Annapolis, Maryland, Colin Pascal is still learning the ropes of sailing, picking it up after retiring from a 20-year career in the Army.
Sailing is incredible because it's one of the few times that you can have motion without noise.
Motion without noise, it's not a big leap to see that as a political metaphor as well.
By disposition, I would like all of us to move forward with less yelling.
He's charting another new course this November, splitting his ticket between Democrat Kamala Harris for president and for Senate, the first Republican ever to win his vote.
I'm a registered Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire life, and I'm voting for Larry Hogan, who's the Maryland Republican candidate for Senate.
Why?
I really do think we're at our best when the center left and the center right are pulling on each other a little bit and we find a workable solution in the middle.
Larry Hogan is a dream recruit for Republicans, a popular moderate and former two-time governor in a blue state, part of a GOP on offense. Senate Republicans need to pick up 2 Senate seats to take over the chamber outright, and just 1 to create a 50-50 tie, which would break in favor of the party that wins the White House. They have a good map. Of the 34 Senate seats on the ballot, Democrats are defending a whopping 23 of them. One of those, West Virginia, is expected to flip to Republicans. And 7 other Democratic seats across the country could go either way, meaning Democrats have no room for error, no room to worry about a bright blue state like Maryland.
Hey, can I get a photo with you? Of course.
But Hogan is a recognizable force, stopped constantly while campaigning at the state fair.
It's so nice to meet you.
He won nearly a third of Democrats in his 2018 election. Hogan is anti-Trump, key in a state that voted for Biden by 33 points. He needs voters like Colin.
I'm trying to get every veteran and every Democrat in the state for you also, because I'm both of those things.
Well, you just got to convince some of those Democrats who already like me and voted for me twice. It's all about those ticket splitters.
Who else?
But
my first question about Hogan was, well, why would he want to run for Senate?
Pierre Blake will not be ticket splitting this time. The Maryland resident works as a nonprofit executive. She voted for Hogan in 2018, appreciated how he handled the pandemic and that he sent the National Guard to D.C. on January 6th. But in the U.S. Senate, she worries Hogan would give Republicans too much power, a decisive vote against her interests.
Gun violence, there's education, housing, women's rights, health rights, and equality for everyone. So there's a lot of things of Angela Alsobrooks' policies that I like.
Let me tell you.
If you're unfamiliar with Angela Alsobrooks, you're not alone. The executive of one of the state's largest counties, she had an impressive primary win. But even so, 1 out of 3 Maryland voters still didn't recognize her name in a poll this month. Alsobrooks is ahead in polls, but knows it's closer than Democrats like. She stresses that voters here are attuned to control in Washington.
It is close because there's a lot at stake here, but I think Marylanders are very savvy, and they will understand the difference between a governor's race and a Senate race, one where our reproductive freedoms, democracy, and so many other issues are on the ballot.
As Alsobrooks and Democrats hope to prevent split-ticket voting in Maryland,
Sherrod Brown wrote the All-American Flag Act.
They need it in other states, like Ohio, where Senator Sherrod Brown is running on bipartisan patriotism and appeals to Republicans.
I'm a Republican, have been my whole life. I don't agree with Sherrod Brown on everything, but when it comes to fighting fentanyl, no one has done more than Sherrod Brown.
Or in Montana, where this is an ad from Senator Jon Tester.
I'm a lifelong Republican.
I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, but I'm voting for Jon Tester.
I'm voting for Jon Tester.
In 2020, Trump won their states by 8 and 16 points. A common theme for Tester, Brown, and Alsobrooks, running on abortion.
I believe it's a woman's right to make our own health care decisions.
With Alsobrooks on the attack, Hogan began describing himself as pro-choice this year.
I ran for governor promising to protect abortion rights, and I
kept that promise for 10 years. And now I've said I'm going to be a sponsor of the bill to codify Roe, and I'm going to be a sponsor on IVF.
Had you used the phrase pro-choice publicly as a politician before?
No, because I said, I had my own personal feelings about it, but I wasn't going to always never get between a woman and her doctor to make her own decision.
But Maryland Democrats point out he vetoed a bill to expand access. It would have let nurse practitioners and some others perform abortions. When the legislature overrode the veto, he held back funding for training. It's part of current voter thought. While Collins supports Hogan's approach, it's a deal breaker for Peer. A split in views in one of the states where voters who split their tickets, or don't, will determine the shape of Washington next year. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins in Annapolis, Maryland.